The components of the integrated service model are as follows. First, services are provided in the student's natural environment. It can be in the classroom, in the gym, or outside on the playground. Second, the therapist that evaluates the child also plans, addresses the needs of the student in a collaborative team model. The model can include all personnel who work with the student throughout the day. And finally, the student's needs are addressed during the normal classroom routine and activities. What you will be seeing in these classrooms is a co-teaching model where the teachers and the related service providers are all going to be working towards the same goals. They might be working on co-teaching, or they might be taking a group of children aside to work on specific skills.
In a traditional classroom, you may teach as a whole class lesson, and sometimes we do that and we will co-teach together, but oftentimes, especially with students with special needs, you need to work in a smaller group. When we break into smaller groups, the students can get more individualized attention, so it works to the students' benefit to have whole class instruction where they need to work on waiting skills and following oral directions, but they also get the more fine-tuned attention they need in a smaller group.
The programs that are involved in integrated therapy are the self-contained programs: physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech and language services. We have been conducting a lot of training for the teachers, service providers, and child study teams on how to implement this model.
Our goal is to try to get the interventions that the therapists have absorbed by the classroom teachers so that they can implement those throughout their day with the kids. The result being that the children actually get more intervention than in the old model where children were pulled out.
The integrated services approach has changed the way I approach my curriculum because I have to collaborate with all the therapists. I have to plan my lessons around OT, PT, and speech, and I work with them in order to plan these lessons, so they give me ideas and feedback, something that I might have left out that would help their area of expertise.
The collaborative part is very important. It's essential to have time to work together, to plan lessons in order to make them run smoothly, and so that we make sure that we're accomplishing the educational goals in the curriculum as well as the speech-language goals. So working with the teacher has been nice.
There's an average of about 300 students that are in our self-contained programs. Now, based on a child's IEP, if a child needs individual therapy, they will be offered that service as well.
One of the things that the speech therapist and I are able to do is collaborate on problems. So if I'm having a particular problem with a student pronouncing a word, following some oral directions, because she's there, I can say to her, you know, I know you've been working with Vincent on this problem. How have you been prompting him? What kind of cues and accommodations have you been making for him that I can do in the classroom all of the time? So instead of just doing it twice a week in speech, we're doing it 5 days a week, and the student gets that help all of the time.
The benefits of integrated therapy is that the children now remain in the classroom. So instead of being pulled out of the classroom for 30, 60, or 90 minutes during the week, now the children get instruction in the classroom.
The integrated therapies approach works for me as a teacher because I am able to confer and collaborate with my speech therapist all the time. In the past, she would come to my class, take the students out of the class to a separate location, and do a very important speech therapy work, but the students would miss the lesson that they were taken out of, and the therapist wouldn't always see how the students were working within the classroom. And our goal is always to improve the classroom work that our students are doing, so it was kind of separate. And her being in the classroom all of the time lets her see how the students are performing in the classroom.
Well, now I deal with the students primarily in the classroom, and I think it makes therapy more functional because I'm part of the children's educational day. So I work in their environment and I get to see what's happening and how they're using their language, what they're understanding and what they're not, and then I can help them from that viewpoint.
Working in the classroom has changed the approach I use in working with students, and that I feel that my therapy now, as opposed to years ago when I only worked as pull-out, is more relevant to their educational needs. I'm not just working in a vacuum. I'm not pulling worksheets out of a book that have no relation to the curriculum or to the lessons in the classroom and doing things on my own that may not be relevant to these children in their daily lives.
It's definitely nice to have the contact with the other therapists because sometimes there's there's times, like especially in the past, where you really don't even get to speak with the speech or, you know, PT. And so this way we all kind of know what we're working on, and we could target different areas, and I can take some of the speech stuff and incorporate it in my session if they're working on pointing or certain words, as well as physical therapy. We can kind of get together and collaborate and know what positions we're working on, and then I can then back that up as well.
We've kind of been able to adapt our physical therapy to the classroom in that some of the activities that we do will incorporate what they're working on that day. For example, if we're working on trunk strength and reaching and stuff like that, if they're working on sorting or matching, we can combine those two together into one activity that it mirrors their PT goals and their school-based goals all into one activity. Another way that we're incorporating it is to, for example, a story time where we're acting out the story. We can have the kids work on the specific skills in the story, whether it's jumping or walking. I can really work on the quality of the skill and all the PT parts of it to really refine the motion and make it into a mature skill while still having that in the classroom to go along with the activity that they're working on.
Integrated Services follows the model of least restrictive environment, so every child can reach the goals set by the core content standards.
As the kids aren't required to leave the classroom anymore, the services are delivered in the classroom. I find that the kids are, we incorporate even kids that don't have difficulties, and we incorporate them, and then it's better that everybody's in here. They don't miss things when they're pulled out. They don't come back in the classroom halfway through a story or halfway through an activity. They're always within the classroom. There's no time. They don't need to stop and make up things later on. If they're here when things are going on, they don't miss anything.
When a parent asks me about this approach and what I feel about it, I let them know that the most important thing is that we're able to have contact with the teacher. The paras are watching what we're doing, so that there's definitely follow through and carryover, and that it is helping the children.
I think the student response to me working in the classroom has been really positive. The kids view me as a part of the regular staff. It's no different when I walk into the room. I'm here, I'm a part of what we do.
It also benefits them because their friends see what they're doing and kind of understand, so then they want to join in, and it becomes a little bit more fun.
I feel like the special needs children are definitely benefiting from having me in the classroom. Again, you just have to take into account all the children with auditory processing needs and articulation needs, and as long as they still get time to be seen one-on-one to work on those goals and objectives, they absolutely reap the benefit of learning from their peers and generalizing those skills that are taught to them.
What really makes a difference in a child's life is how much intervention they're getting. And that intervention is what the child receives from the natural people in the child's life, the teachers and the parents. And really the therapy is supposed to be supplemental to that, to make sure that those two groups, parents and teachers, have the most skills to be able to do a good job with the kids.